let's talk about a name that, for any real fan of Indian cricket, is synonymous with greatness, but also with waiting. We're talking about Amol Muzumdar. His is a story of just incredible talent, unbelievable patience, and a dream that took a very, very different path to come true. I mean, just listen to that. That's from Muzumdar himself. The dream was always to play for India, right? But when it looked like it just wasn't going to happen, he didn't let it destroy him. He just parked it. He set it aside. So that's the real question, isn't it? How does a story that seems to be about personal disappointment completely transform into one of this massive, historic victory for others? Well, the answer to that is what changes everything about his legacy.
Now, to really understand this, we're not going to start at the beginning. No, we're jumping straight to the climax, the moment that just flipped the entire script on his career.
And there it is. The guy who never got to wear that India jersey as a player, he's on the sidelines. He's the head coach, the architect of the Indian women's team's very first World Cup win. It was a moment he called a true watershed for the sport in India. You see, this win just completely reframes his entire story. For years, everybody called him the unluckiest cricketer in India. But after this, he shot that down completely. He said, "I'm not unlucky, I'm the luckiest person on the planet." His perspective had totally shifted. So to get why, we've got to go back, way back.
Okay, so let's rewind. We're in the 80s and 90s. Mumbai cricket is just buzzing with talent. And right in the middle of it all is this kid, Amol Muzumdar, who everyone is saying is the next big thing.
I mean, his pedigree was just impeccable. He was part of that same legendary system that gave us Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kambli. And get this, he was literally the next man in, padded up and waiting during their famous record-breaking 664-run partnership in school cricket. That single image of him just waiting would pretty much define his whole career.
And when he finally got his shot on a bigger stage, he didn't just knock on the door, he blew it off its hinges. He smashed 260 runs on his first-class debut from Mumbai. That was a world record. It was a massive statement saying, hey, I'm ready. But that highest level, getting that India cap, it just stayed so painfully out of reach. And that's how he got a nickname that would stick with him for decades.
And right here, this is the heart of the tragedy of his playing career. Just look at that. Over 11,000 first-class runs, the second most in Ranji Trophy history when he hung up his boots. 30 centuries. And yet, a big, fat zero in the India caps column. The numbers are just mind-boggling.
So you have to ask why. Why didn't he get a shot?
And it wasn't about talent. It was all about timing. His best years ran smack into what was, let's be honest, probably the greatest middle order in cricket history. You had Tendulkar, Dravid, Ganguly, and Laxman. That wall of talent, it was just unbreakable. There was no way in. And all that waiting, it really took a toll. It got to a point where the frustration was so deep, he was actually ready to just quit the sport entirely. This wasn't just some professional roadblock. It was a really deep personal struggle. But here's the thing, he didn't quit. Instead, he took all that disappointment and channeled it into becoming one of the toughest, most respected leaders in domestic cricket. He basically became the living embodiment of the Mumbai cricket spirit. And that spirit has a name. It's Caduce. It's a Mumbai slang word, and it perfectly describes this stubborn, gritty, fight-to-the-bitter-end attitude. It's about never giving up and finding a way to win, even when it looks completely impossible. And that was Amol Muzumdar. And you want to see that spirit in action? Just look at the 2006-07 Ranji Trophy season. Muzumdar is the captain and his Mumbai team is dead and buried. They have to pull off a miracle. And then, in the semifinal, they are 5 wickets down for, get this, 0 runs. And they still won the match. It's insane. And of course, he led them all the way to lifting that trophy. That's Caduce. So, after an incredible 21-year playing career, he retired in 2014, but he was far from done with cricket. He figured if he couldn't live his dream out on the field, well, he was going to build a brand new one from the sidelines. And look, he didn't just stumble into coaching. The man studied it. He got high-performance degrees from all over the world. India, Australia, England. He worked with a bunch of different teams to really learn the craft inside and out, long before he took that top job with the Indian women's team in 2023. And his coaching style? It came directly from his own journey. Because he'd lived through all that pressure and disappointment himself, he could connect with his players with real empathy and a sense of calm. His whole message was simple: believe in yourselves, every single one of you is a match winner. All of which brings us back to that legendary 2025 World Cup campaign. This is where that whole philosophy would be put to the ultimate test. And believe me, it was not a smooth ride. They had a really shaky start. After a couple of losses, Muzumdar gave the team this calm but really firm emotional speech that just completely reignited their fire. And that led to an amazing comeback, including a record-breaking chase in the semis against Australia before they went on to dominate the final. And his impact, it wasn't just about tactics, it was about culture. The captain, Harmanpreet Kaur, said it herself. She gives him a ton of credit for bringing a new level of stability and belief into that locker room that just hadn't been there before. But the one image from that victory that says it all, it isn't the trophy lift, it's this. The captain, in that moment of pure emotion, bending down to touch her coach's feet. It's just this incredible, powerful gesture of ultimate respect for the man who helped them get there. And in that one moment, you see the entire story come full circle. The young boy who sat padded up, waiting for a turn to bat for India that never ever came, had finally finished his innings. Not with a bat, but by guiding a new generation to a glory he was always denied. Which really just leaves us with one final thought. The story of Amol Muzumdar makes you ask a pretty big question. What actually defines greatness? Is it just about personal achievements and wearing the national jersey? Or is it about the legacy you build and the success you inspire in the people around you?